Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today I'm taking my first look at Star Adventurer. This is an initial review of the PDF alone, although I'm anticipating the softcover to arrive in the mail at some point. I wanted to just do the PDF coverage because I'm just been getting bored and want to get some reviews out of the way as well. So this is an RPG written by the RPG Pundit, and he has a number of different products along this line. This is the RPG Pundit Presents line, and this is number 100. So he has an extensive library of materials that you can look into on Drive-Thru RPG, which you can link in the comment section of my channel and of this video in particular. So that being said, this is an old school science fiction rules, which means that you will see a number of elements that are very similar to old school D&D. And, once we go into that, you'll see those things. If you're familiar with old school D&D, if you're not familiar with old school D&D, you will see these rules are fairly simple or basic, and you can build from there as you wish. So it's a very easy system to learn and a lot of fun to play. Not just specifically for this game, but for many, many of the OSR games that are out there. So, without further ado, I'm going to jump right into the PDF. So here we have the PDF, and as I said, it's part of the RPG Presents series, number 100. And it's a 40 pages long, although 2 pages are for the character sheet and the ship configuration sheet as well. But the rest, the other 38 or 34 or 35 pages or so, are all content. So here we go right into it. And I like the way this starts out. This starts out with a model character so that you can kind of see how simple it really this is all that it's required to be. So strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Those are the same 6 stats that you see in every OSR game based on the D&D system. And that's the old school D&D system. So you'll have a race and class and origin and alignment, skills that are associated with the class that the person is, or the character is. Movement rates, saving throws, their base attack, that's for melee, and then any special attributes or abilities that they have based on their class structure. Now the RPG Pundit goes really old school here, where he says players always roll 3d6 in order for 6 ability scores. These rolls are recorded as the ability score modified for each result. If a character does not have a single score above 8, roll again for all of the ability scores. The following modifiers apply to those related rolls. So the average is between a 9 and a 12. And, basically if you end up with a broken character, he's basically saying you re-roll. So if you don't have anything that's above an 8, then just re-roll. If you're kind of new to this, fairly strict interpretation of the ability scores rolling, ability scores are not the say-all and be-all of building a character. You can certainly have several negative modifiers and still be a successful player character. And not just in a role-playing sense, but in a sense of the mechanics of having various skills and and other ways to supplement lower attribute scores. So, if you end up with a few minuses, it's not the end of the world. If you completely straight across the board, a completely average character, you have no pluses, no minuses, it's certainly a doable thing. So races. So the game master can either choose to let you pick a race or you can randomly select it. But here is my question for RPG Pundit, because I'm a little bit confused by this random race chart. So you're rolling a d20, and some of these don't strike me as being races at all. I mean, they're clearly not. So you have the amphibioid, which is, I guess, a race, a brute, which is not, a contemplative, which is not a race, engineer, explorer, giant. I guess giant could potentially be a race. A human, yes, that's a race. A hunter, no. An intellectual, no. A little green man, I guess little green man is a race or a species or something. A manipulator, no. A methane breather, which is basically a fart breather, no. A skimmer, or schemer, schemer, sorry, no. Subterranean, warrior. Yeah, these don't strike me as being racial groupings or selections rather than archetypes. And if they are archetypes, then you wouldn't have human or amphibioid or any of those clearly racial or species set of groupings. So that's just a weird way, in my opinion, a weird way of saying those are races. They're really not. But here are the attribute modifications based on either your choice or your random roll. Origins. So once again, these are a little bit strange, but these are more professional origins of your character. So each origin provides 3 initial skills or combat bonuses. And so your origin can be an aristocratic, a commoner, a computer tech, a criminal, occultist, and so on and so on. So you would roll either randomly or, pick something that kind of fits your backstory, a concept of your character, and then you would add these skills or these skill modifications to those as well. Moving on, then we have the classes, and here is your OSR, very typical class or stat block setup with hit points, armor class, base combat bonus, which sometimes you see, sometimes you don't. Base saving throws, which is very common. Alignment, which is very common, at least in old school D&D based role-playing games. So a brute requirements, they need at least a constitution of 9 or better. They get a d12 for hit points, plus or minus their con bonus, plus the 2 additional per level. Their base combat bonus is a +1. Their armor proficiency is light or medium. Their base saving throw is a -DC. It's probably like a damage, like a die check. So you would, instead of getting the full number of dice, you would get 1 dice level less. So I'll go into that a little bit more detail. And then some specializations. So specialize, they select 1. So you could start off with a Crusader, Mercenary, Raider, and these will modify your skills a little bit better. There's Explorers and Psychic, Mystics, Rogues, Technicians, and so on. So there's a number of different classes. There's a universal skill, experience point advancement system, which is nice. It's not too complicated, and you can see it takes 3 experience points to get to level 2. Then an additional 6 experience points to get to level 3, and so on. So it takes you, exponentially more and more time to go up to the next possible level. Brute Explorer. Let's see what this is to now. So Brute Explorer and Warrior, they roll an extra die for hit points. So this is a modifier. Let's take a look at this modifier. Like I said, this is my first walkthrough as well. If the Game Master wishes to generate a 0 level character, it gets origin skills, but none of the class abilities or skills. No hit points, damages to apply directly to the character's con score. All right, and I guess this is for rolling a, these are the possibilities for a 0 level character. Okay, that's pretty cool. So the skills. So a DC 10 means simple activities with a relative unlimited time. So a DC 10 means that your target that you're rolling on a D20 is going to be a 10. Your target for an average skill is going to be a 15, and then you'll add your bonuses, if any, to those rolls. And then an exceptionally difficult challenge would be on a D20 roll of having to roll a 25 or better in order to be successful. So skills, then there's a number of skills. And when I get to the character sheet, I'll go over those because it's a lot quicker to do it that way. Psychic powers. Like I said, it's only 40 pages long, so it's not a very long booklet to get yourself through. Probably take you, less than a half an hour to get through the whole thing, and probably about an hour in order to really start to understand the system itself. So technology, we go into AC bonuses based on armor type, ranged weapons, and so on. So it has a section on technology and gadgets and so on. Just equipment, general equipment that you're going to utilize, equipping your characters, and so it goes through the cost sheets and stuff like that. Reaction rolls. So this is the Dungeon Master's or Game Master's procedures. So checking the reaction of NPCs when you first encounter them, and then a description of what those actually could look like. Morale. All non-player characters, servants, hirelings, aliens, animals, or even robots have a morale score. I'm glad that there doesn't seem to be morale checks for player characters. I think that it's something I usually don't force my player characters to do, even if the system kind of calls for it. It doesn't make very much sense to me that they can go into something, and not beforehand do like a morale check. Now, if the crap really hits the fan, then potentially, but I tend not to like to deal with those things. There's initiative that's rolled most likely with no, you roll a d6 plus dexterity. So yeah, that's old school D&D. Attacks and aim shots. Let's see where we're at here. Wrestling, tripping. We're at page 28, so 12 pages to go. And let's get to this next section. So there is, this is a science fiction based on a ship, so it's I know RPG Pundit has described it as like a very, space opera type of game, and you certainly can do that with this and emulate that kind of feel, like from the more mainstream science fiction shows. I'm right now I'm watching The Expanse. I'm into like the third season of The Expanse, and I can see connections to that, or Firefly, or other types of shows that are very similar. That concept of a small ship crew just trying to get their ship through the adventures as they go through them. So Starship Combat. So there's really the obligatory Starship Combat. Ships have stats just like player characters and NPCs do. There's critical hits for ship combat. So if a ship does take a critical hit, then there are various charts. Going through, there's information about these various systems. If they do get damaged, what are some of the catastrophic things that can occur? There's a main compartment maneuvering system. Oh, that's if the maneuvering system gets damaged. The power core, if that gets damaged, and so far. So here's the character sheet and weapons. You list the skills here or powers here, and then here's your equipment that they can have. Here is the starship, and it has its speed, its size, its manpower, its armor class, its hit points, and then its various weapon systems. So, and then OGL. Actually, that wasn't OGL. That was, oh yes, it is. The OGL here. Another question that I have for RPG Pundit, if he does come in here, is that, I'm hoping that there's actually, I'm going to switch views. I'm hoping that there's that there will be a future section on not just the ship combat and the damages that can occur through the critical hit system, but I'd like to see where components can be switched out, ships can be modified, or you can have a ship constructed based on what you're looking for, or you can even design your own starship. So that's the kind of thing, and I know that, some might disagree with this viewpoint. Without that element of being able to modify or repair and, construct or design your own starship, to me, that's really not a space opera. That is such an important part of a game for it to be a space opera. So very similar to Star Frontiers, something that's simple, built on, this kind of a system anyway. That's something that I'm hoping will be a future RPG Pundit Presents that I would certainly pick up, because that's the one element of this game that that I'm actually missing. Now I can always add it in myself and figure those things out, but hopefully there's an expansion to cover that as well. So once again, thank you for joining, and I really look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments to leave, please feel free to leave those comments, especially RPG Pundit. If you take a look and you see anything in here that you wanted to point out or clarify for me, please, feel free to do so. And once again, you can grab this game on Drive-Thru RPG for under $10. It's currently on sale, and you can get both the soft cover and the PDF for under $10, which is really not bad at all. So once again, be careful out there. Enjoy the holiday weekend if you're in the United States. This is Independence Day, July 4th. So be safe, especially if you're shooting off fireworks, and remember all of the things that go along with this day and age as far as social distancing and just being smart and healthy out there. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I look forward to seeing you. Thanks for stopping in. Have a great day.